extra credit. Go. What would you show?
This is how you can get an A++.
That's correct. Everybody wants an A++.
There were I had a number of films that I thought would be just fun. Most of them are considered bad or not good, but it's just like John Waters. Part of the reason he's so successful as a filmmaker because he understands the difference between good trash and bad trash.
Yeah.
You have to have like a sense of taste and style to understand what like good trash is, you know. So a couple of the ones that I had discussed with myself for extra credit that would be fun. The Running Man.
You're talking Schwarzenegger here?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The 1987 one with a surprise Oscar snubbed turn by Dickie Dawson as
I
Killian.
agree. Yeah. Slathering up his kisses on everybody.
and who arrives at the ICS complex in a Volkswagen Jetta limousine. Which, as a guy who used to drive Volkswagen Jettas, just blows my mind every time because they didn't make that. Some chop shop had to take a Jetta, cut it in half, and build that sumbitch into a limo, which is awesome. The Jerky Boys from 1995, which I think I'm one of only 2 people on the planet that dearly loves.
I will co-sign it. I don't have interest in that.
Well,
Buddy.
Not only do I find it to be wonderfully funny, it's stupid but totally funny, but also really what it didn't get one of the things it didn't get a lot of credit for was that as an adaptation of a collection of crank calls on a record, it actually does a pretty good job of being like a cinematic adaptation of the original like Jerky Boys album. There's a film from 1978 called The Manitou that stars Tony Curtis and Michael Ansara, who was one of the original 3 Klingon captains. The original Star Trek. He was Kang from Day of the Dove. Rumble in the Bronx, which isn't bad. It's not Jackie Chan's best movie, but by no means is it his worst movie. But it's just a really simple, fun one.
I think it's my first Jackie Chan.
It is. I think it's the first one that was released in America, like in a major.
That's right.
In a major
then
way.
You realize, he's a figure.
Right.
And then you can go back and see his HD
right.
movies.
They used to at our beloved Ken Cinema, R.I.P. They would do like Jackie Chan retrospective. So I knew of Jackie Chan before seeing this. Because my good friend and his dad would like go down and see like Police Story, and like all this
Drunken
stuff.
Master,
Drunken Master, right? All that stuff. The Room, of course, the Tommy Wiseau film, I thought would be a fun, baffling thing. The 2006 version of House of Wax with Paris Hilton, which I would have never seen on my own, but then being shown it at a horror movie marathon and discovering, wow, this is actually really cool. In fact, it's better than the Vincent Price House of Wax from the 50s in my estimation. The Man Who Would Be King, the John Huston film with Sean Connery and Michael Caine, because that's a ton of fun. And then I also thought Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It celebrates the present and the past. It might have been something that students might have been able to key into a little more because it's more
so good at showing the slope of dog food escaping a can.
It is.
It's really an excellent movie.
Absolutely, yeah. Tarantino doesn't get a lot of credit for his sound design.
Right.
But oftentimes there's very rich sound.
First time I got hit for that, aside from music, which of course it's like Scorsese, it's everywhere.
Right.
But it was Kill Bill Volume 1, with some of just the background noises in those rare quiet moments punctuating the terrific spouts of violence. Yeah. He's very sensitive to the depth of little noises that cue you in. Right.
The strudel scene in Inglourious Bastards, because it's like a series of quick shots of like the strudel and the cream and all that stuff, and there's just some sound that accompanies it. It really makes the image effective.
For me, the 1973 extra credit assignment is The Wicker Man.
Awesome.
Because
you want to talk about a good soundtrack.
It's a weird movie.
It is.
And then you've got Christopher Lee's the lead, right? So
no, Edward Woodward, the Equalizer. The original Equalizer is the lead. Christopher Lee is the sort of the leader of the inhabitants of Summer Isle, the island that Edward Woodward is on, investigating the murder of this girl.
And it's such a moodily strange movie. Scene by scene, it just whipsaws in all kinds of strange directions, and it's truly a weird object. My other choice for the Under the Tentpole series I do, it tends to divide audiences. It did when it came out in 2012, and it does through the present for those few people who've seen it. It's Cloud Atlas. Tom Tykwer and the Wachowskis when they were in transition.
Yeah, I had that on one of my lists for one of the other subjects we did of films that I hadn't seen.
I just think it's a marvel, and it's partly because I bit down super hard on the source novel by David Mitchell, which is it's a gimmick novel, and it's a project that works really well on paper, and then it's how is this mysterious thing going to be translated into the movie? So here's the pitch. The novel is, I think, 6 separate genres of literature told through the halfway point of the story. And then you read through each of the other halves of those stories down to their conclusions. They're not interwoven. They each one break onto the next, but they're all layered and they are all connected with the one that it leads to. I'm not saying this well, except to say you have a base story, and then for some reason it makes a reference to the next story, which makes a reference to the next story, and each of those 6 stories is done in a different literary genre. And at a kind of pivotal cliffhanger, once you've gotten involved in these characters, it simply stops and starts over again on the backside of the story to see how it all comes out. So it's a triangle. But I found it so marvelous because it's a successful instruction in how to do genre writing, and it got me all involved in these characters because every one of the characters in every one of the stories is somehow related to the other characters in the other stories, and the other details happens across time. So it goes back generations, even hundreds of years, and that gets woven into cross-cutting and parallel action across 6 storylines in the movie that jump across scenes constantly. It's not a singular break right in the middle. It's a twist through the whole length of it. And then the linchpin of the whole deal is the central cast, which is based on Tom Hanks and Halle Berry and others. They're playing a role in every one of the stories, sometimes against their gender, their sex, and their race and ethnicity, with different languages across hundreds, even thousands of years.
So Tom Hanks actually has to be somebody that's not Tom Hanks.
Yeah, he plays a scoundrel in a couple of the scenes.
Okay, well then that doubles my interest in it because he doesn't get to do that very often. But when he does, I love it.
Yeah. He's game for it.
The Lady Killers, the Coen Brothers Lady Killers, everybody hates it, right? But I'm like, that is the best work Tom Hanks has ever done because he never gets to play like just some conniving like Southern
He's
colonel.
not a heel. He's always
he's always
a friendly neighbor.
He's always Hankian.
Yeah,
he's always Hanksian.
That's right. He defines a kind of a role.
Right.
So I really enjoy Cloud Atlas, and in addition to that, there's a woven through piece of music, the Cloud Atlas sextet or symphony or theme. That is redone for each of the sequences with slightly different instrumentation, which was written by one of the co-directors, Tom Tykwer, who has a band that he's been associated with since he was a wee boy, and now he's in deep middle age. So it's kind of exciting to hear those leitmotifs kind of sweep in and tell you things. And in the end, it's a giant affirmation for values that I just hold dear. You know, save the one, and you might save the whole of the future.
It's like Warren Beatty says in Bulworth, we just all got to keep fucking till we're all the same color.
Boop boopity doo.